Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
We're going to be talking about a festival in today's program. Festivals, of course, happen in countries all over the world because you're going to celebrate something. Could be Chinese New Year, could be Christmas, could be 端午节 or whatever. Those are all different kinds of festivals. But now we're talking about one that's actually happening today in the UK.
Kind of interesting that they've come up with a festival that actually is a celebration of a group of people who were trying to take down the government at that time. At least they were trying to revolt, maybe start a revolution, and they were going to blow up a building where the King of England was supposed to be. He was lucky because they caught these guys in time, and they end up getting, of course, executed for being traitors. We're going to talk about this gunpowder plot that they set up and also more about this fun festival.
So yeah, let's talk about Bonfire Night, celebrating the failure of the gunpowder plot. Let's listen to the entire contents of our lesson one time.
Remember, remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plot.So begins a traditional rhyme that reminds residents of the UK to celebrate Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night on November 5th. The second line of the rhyme refers to events that occurred in 1605. On that day, King James I of England was scheduled to preside over the Houses of Parliament. A group of men planned to blow up the building during the ceremony.And then lead a revolt. One of the plotters, a former soldier named Guy Fawkes, concealed himself under the Houses of Parliament with 36 barrels of gunpowder. However, the plot was exposed when an unknown person wrote to some friends, warning them to stay away from the ceremony. Fawkes was caught in the cellar with the gunpowder, and the other plotters were either killed,while trying to escape, or arrested and executed. Rarely had a disaster of this nature been so narrowly averted. King James ordered bells to be rung in celebration and declared November 5th a day of national thanksgiving to show the country's gratitude for avoiding a possible civil war. People in the UK now observe Bonfire Night by assembling to build large bonfires.and watch fantastic fireworks displays. A major tradition is burning a guy on the bonfire. This figure, made out of sticks, straw, and old clothes, represents Guy Fawkes. However, it's long been customary for a guy to resemble unpopular public figures, such as politicians or rival sports teams' players. In addition,People enjoy snacking on homemade bonfire toffee, candy apples, and potatoes baked in the fires. While it's true that these days, Bonfire Night isn't as popular as Halloween, the fires and fireworks have helped this annual tradition endure for over 400 years.Let's talk about our lesson for today. You know, we just got done celebrating Halloween, but if that wasn't enough for you, and if you happen to be in the United Kingdom, well, there's still another festival that you can participate in, and it is Guy Fawkes Night, or also, as our title says, Bonfire Night. And in this festival, we are celebrating the failure of the gunpowder plot. So that's what this is all about. First of all, we should talk about a bonfire. That's usually a big fire. I think the origin of this word is bone fire, a fire with a bunch of bones or something like that. Yeah, they used to burn the bones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in other words, nowadays, we're not really burning bones, but we're burning a lot of stuff just to have a really big fire, not a campfire. That's something small if you go camping, but hey, if it's really, really big and you're just having fun with fire there, and we call that a bonfire. And the reason they have these bonfires is to celebrate the failure of the gunpowder plot. Okay, so this is an historical event in the history of the UK, something called the gunpowder plot, which we'll get to in just a second, but I think I'm going to focus first of all on these words here. Gunpowder is basically the stuff in fireworks or bombs and stuff. It was invented in China, of course, and the plot here just refers to some kind of conspiracy or some kind of political action in which they tried to take over the government or cause trouble.
You've probably seen this word plot used as a word that describes the story of a movie or a book or even, I don't know, a play that you're seeing on stage. But here, we're using it in sort of an evil way. These are people who come together and they plan something bad in secret. So they had a gunpowder plot. And as you heard, if you listen to me just read this, they were trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament, which are actually beautiful buildings. I'm glad they failed. And at the same time, kill the king who was there, I think, just to give a speech or something like that. Or maybe he was just scheduled to be there. It says here that he presided over, which means you're the highest official in attendance at some meeting. You don't necessarily have to say anything. So, yeah. A group of people secretly coming together to plan something bad is often described as a plot, or as Tom said, a scheme. Scheme is good too. S-C-H-E-M-E. That's a good word too.
Indeed. For example, you might uncover a plot to assassinate the queen or something like that. But yeah, this is an event in history, which we'll get to. And the event is remembered by a rhyme, okay, which is like a poem or something. So it goes, remember, remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plot. Okay, remember rhymes with November, so that's the rhyme there. There might be other rhymes in this, but we're only giving you the first line or two here of this traditional rhyme. And this, this is how it begins. It reminds residents of the UK to celebrate Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night on November 5th. So yes, so begins. That's how this particular rhyme begins. And we've got lots of rhymes in English, Mary, Mary, quite contrary, or something like that. There are various nursery rhymes that we learn when we're kids.
Yeah, so a rhyme and a poem are similar, except that a rhyme means that the ends of words sound similar on different lines. And that's what's kind of fun about rhymes. And writing a poem that rhymes is not always easy. I think it's kind of hard. So this is a traditional rhyme. They've had it around for a long time. And it's supposed to just remind residents or people who live there of the UK to celebrate Bonfire Night, or some people call it Guy Fawkes Night. Guy Fawkes is the bad guy. My dad's first name is Guy, so when I see this, I think, oh, same name, Guy. It's a French name originally. It comes from France, and it was Guy over there, but Guy Fawkes Night. And when do they celebrate it? On November 5th, which is kind of shortly after Halloween. So it comes pretty close to Halloween, and this is something that is only celebrated in the UK.
Yeah, it happens less than a week after Halloween, so maybe people in the UK are all partied out after Halloween. They may not have enough energy left to celebrate Guy Fawkes Night, but this tradition continues. And the second line of the rhyme refers to events that occurred in 1605. So the second line, gunpowder, treason, and plot, those all have something to do with an event in history that happened or occurred in the year 1605. So again, we've got gunpowder, treason, which is when you betray someone. You are a traitor to your country or to your your political party or whatever. So these things happened in 1605, and on that day, King James I of England was scheduled to preside over the Houses of Parliament. You mentioned this earlier in the program, preside, which means he was kind of there supervising it. Maybe he was going to give a speech or whatever.
Yeah, we often in church will have the highest leaders presiding. Sometimes they won't even speak, but they're sitting on the stand in front of the group. So he was there to preside over the Houses of Parliament. In America, we have Congress. In the UK, they have Houses of Parliament. And in Taiwan, they have Legislative Yuan. So these are the people who pass the laws for the rest of the citizens that live there. The citizens then have to obey those laws. So there was a group of men long time ago, 1605. This is really far back in history. A group of men planned to blow up the building during the ceremony. That would have killed a lot of people, especially a lot of the leaders at that time in the government. And then they were going to lead a revolt. So you've probably seen that word revolution before when people come together to overthrow the government. That's considered treason as well. You are betraying your country, and the people involved are called traitors. If you use this word revolt, though, this can be a noun and a verb. Here, we're using it as a noun. So to revolt means you rise up in rebellion. You're very unhappy about something. And typically, when you have a revolution, it involves violence, people hurting other people. It can be kind of dangerous and scary. In this case, it looks like it was probably going to lead to a civil war where citizens of a country were fighting each other to see which side would gain control.
Yeah, I think there's some kind of religious element to this as well. These people were Catholics or something, and the Church of England kind of revolted against Rome at some point in their history. So yeah, there's some kind of religious element to this revolution that never really got off the ground.
Well, and back then in history, Tom, a lot of those churches were the most powerful organizations in the world. Not so much today.
Exactly. So, yeah, a revolt almost started there, but it didn't, thankfully. And we'll talk about that some more in just a couple of seconds. But right now, we're going to take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
谢谢美语老师。Hello, my name is Shelby. 11月5日，英国烧着篝火，呼应历史上的一个叛国事件。标题“火药阴谋”就是这个事件的名字。首先呢，是某首诗的前两行，后面的 treason 是叛国的意思。记得11月5日，火药、叛国和阴谋。第一题，就这样开始一首传统的 rhyme 韵文。That 怎么样？英国居民庆祝篝火之夜 bonfire 篝火。That 冠带代替先行词 a traditional rhyme 单数，所以空格要放单数动词。这首诗要人记得有提醒的含义。选项选 G reminds， 它的用法 remind somebody of something。下一句，诗的第二行是指发生在1605年的事件，动词 occur 发生，搭配的主词是事情 something occurs to somebody， 例如说 an accident occurred to him， 他发生了意外。第二题，国王詹姆士一世 was 怎么样子 to preside over 国会 preside at something 或者是 preside over something 表示主词。be 动词 was 后面可以放形容词或者分词，后面暗杀者会事先来这里，可见这会议已经有事先安排，所以答案选 B scheduled 被排定的。下一句，一群人计划要炸掉整个建筑，引起一场反叛。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're talking about Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night in the UK, and it's to celebrate the failure of the gunpowder plot. Okay, so again, we're talking about the second line of that rhyme there. Gunpowder, treason, and plot. So that's basically what happened back in 1605. Again, we had King James I, and he was going to preside over the Houses of Parliament. And then a group of men planned to blow up the building during the ceremony and then lead a revolt. I guess we could say they were terrorists in a sense.
Domestic terrorists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the plotters, a former soldier named Guy Fawkes, concealed himself under the Houses of Parliament with 36 barrels of gunpowder. Thanks to the Chinese, he was able to have some gunpowder there underneath the Houses of Parliament, and I guess he was going to blow himself up there. I guess like those extremists in the Middle East, they drive trucks and they blow themselves up and kill a lot of people.
The jihadists.
Exactly. So it's a popular way to do these sorts of things. So maybe that's where they got the idea from. Who knows? But yeah, one of them was Guy Fawkes. So that's the reason why this particular celebration is named after him, because he was, I guess, the main guy in this plot.
It is an interesting last name there, guys. And when you hear us pronounce it, you probably think, why are they saying Fox like F-O-X? That's really how the pronunciation comes out. So don't let the spelling confuse you. Just think of the word F-O-X, Fox. So the plot was exposed, though, in time, thank goodness, when an unknown person wrote to some friends and just kind of mentioned maybe they should stay away from that celebration. It wasn't going to be very safe. And because of this one person worried about losing maybe a family member or a friend, because they certainly would have been killed in this explosion, the plot was exposed. To expose something is to shed light on or to reveal something that's been secret or hasn't been known before, so they exposed the plot.
Exposed the plot indeed. And again here, Fawkes was caught in the cellar with the gunpowder. So if you're in the cellar, it's kind of like the basement. Okay?
Right.
If you're in buildings here in Taiwan and you see B1 or B2, of course the B stands for basement. But cellar is similar. But to me, the difference between a cellar and the basement is that the cellar kind of stores things like wine barrels or food or something like that, where a basement is where you can actually park your car or something like that.
Or usually cellars, they never decorate them. It's just hard concrete walls. A basement sometimes, will have bedrooms down there. We have a basement in my home in Arizona, and we have a family room and a bedroom and a bathroom down there. Cellars are kind of they're never fixed up, but they're very cool, and you can keep your onions and potatoes down there so they don't spoil. Of course, people have wine cellars. And, other things that can be kept down there. Now, he was caught in the cellar with all of the evidence of, his attempt to blow up the building. All the gunpowder was there. And the other plotters, remember the guys that were plotting with them, we're calling them plotters. They could also be the other traitors. You could say that too. They were either killed while trying to escape or arrested and executed. To use the word execute, it's a verb that means someone was intentionally killed for doing something typically. Although sometimes gangs are awful and they'll say they executed someone, which means they probably shot them in the head. That's a terrible way to die. But if the government executes you, it's because you have committed a really bad crime. You've probably killed somebody else, or you were a traitor to your country. We used to kill spies. I don't think we kill spies anymore.
In the United States, I'm not sure, but
not lately.
Every state has different laws about the death penalty. And if you, have to pay for your crime with your life, you will be executed.
Right.
There are different ways to execute people. Most times they use lethal injection, sometimes firing squad or whatever. But in any case, yes, that's what happened to the plotters here. They were either killed when they tried to escape, or they were later arrested and had their heads chopped off. Now, rarely has a disaster of this nature been so narrowly averted? Avert here just means avoid, which means basically they came pretty close there. If it weren't for that letter that somebody wrote and somebody saw the letter and they let the word out that, hey, something's up here, there's going to be this plot or something. So yes, there was never a time in history where something came so close to actually happening. So narrowly averted, which means it almost happened. It stopped happening, but just a little bit.
Yeah, so King James ordered bells to be rung in celebration. I think he was celebrating the fact that he wasn't killed. Of course, there were other people in those houses of parliament that weren't killed either. Their lives were saved. He declared November 5th a day of national thanksgiving to show the country's gratitude for avoiding a possible civil war. Gratitude is the noun form of the adjective to be grateful. If you're grateful for something, you really are thankful to someone for doing something for you. So he came up with this idea to make November 5th a day of national thanksgiving. So now people in the UK observe bonfire night, and what they do is they assemble together and they build these large bonfires outside. They're huge usually. A bonfire has to be pretty big. Otherwise, it's just, a fire, a campfire. So if you assemble, it just means people coming together. I could say instead of assembling, I could say by people gathering together to build large bonfires. They also get to watch fireworks displays, which are always great. I love fireworks.
Fireworks, yeah. Add the S there because you always have more than one. So fireworks displays there, just like the 4th of July or just like a Double 10 Day here in Taiwan. A major tradition is burning a guy on the bonfire. So guy here probably refers to Guy Fawkes, but it could refer to any guy, any man. Yeah. If you're a man-hater or something, you probably are cheering when that happens. But this figure of a guy made out of sticks, straw, and old clothes represents Guy Fawkes. So yeah, it's supposed to be Guy Fawkes. Yeah, he almost destroyed the country, so I guess he's considered an enemy there. So yes, you want to burn him in these bonfires. However, it's long been customary for a guy to resemble unpopular public figures, such as politicians or rival sports teams' players. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Guy Fawkes. It could be anybody that you dislike. Maybe if you don't like Henry VIII or something, you could burn them. That, I guess, is okay in English law there. They don't get mad if you do that.
Yeah, it's long been customary for a guy to resemble unpopular public figures. Could be a politician or maybe someone on a sports team that most people in UK hate. It's got to be from another country, hopefully. But there are different celebrations or different bonfires. So I guess in your particular neighborhood, you pick the guy that you hate the most and make a stick figure that resembles him. Customary just means something that happens routinely. It's a custom for any sort of group of people or a culture. It's something that is just one of your customs or usual practices. I could say it's customary to tip waiters and waitresses in restaurants in America.
Or it's customary in most countries for the man to propose to the woman and not the other way around. So here it's customary for the guy to resemble or look like unpopular public figures or someone you don't like on someone else's team. Now, in addition, or also, people enjoy snacking on homemade bonfire toffee, candy apples, and potatoes baked in the fires. I think toffee is a kind of candy made from butter and sugar or something. Yeah. Candy apples or apples with a coating of sugar on them. And so those are some traditional treats you can have. And while it's true that these days bonfire night isn't as popular as Halloween, the fires and fireworks have helped this annual tradition endure for over 400 years. So yeah, it happens once a year. It is annual.
Wow, and it's been going on for over 400 years. That's a pretty special celebration, it sounds like. Annual just means happening once a year, as Tom said. We always have our annual Christmas party at work, and then we have the Weiya too, so we have double parties. But a lot of people have annual traditions. You can talk about this with your friends. Right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher one more time.
第3题 One of the plotters 其中一个计划者是个叫盖伊·福克斯的退役士兵，怎么样 himself 在国会底下伴随着36桶的火药？这题要放动词搭配反身代名词 himself， 选项 D conceal 藏匿，后面加受词将自己藏匿在地下室，所以答案是 D。 第4题然而阴谋怎么样？当一位不知名的人士写信警告大家快逃， was 后面接形容词或分词，作为主词 plot 的补语。 However 然而语气转折，下一句又说 Fox 被抓，可见这里 the plot 阴谋被曝光了。 expose 是揭露曝光，所以答案选 I exposed。 若表示暴露在哪里就用 exposed to something。 接着 Fox 被捕捉，其他的同党被杀。到第5题 Rarely 几乎没有，这是否定副词，它放在句首，主词的动词要倒装， has 后面呢紧接 a 或 and 的单数名词当主词。 Of this nature 表示像这样的一个什么被避开， avert 避开， narrowly averted 惊险的避开。这题答案选 A disaster 灾难。接着呢，国王下令钟声来庆祝，宣告11月5日是国定什么日，来表示国家对避掉一场可能内战的感谢。 Gratitude 感谢。 National 是形容词，后面要放名词，又要表示感谢，选项 H。 Thanksgiving 便很合适，答案选 H。 下一段第1句，现在英国人堆起火堆和看烟火，主词是 people， 本身是复数，所以这里要放复数动词，大家聚在一起来庆祝篝火之夜。选项 F observe 一般是当观察，不过它也有庆祝的意思，例如 Some people observe Christmas here， 在这里有些人庆祝耶诞节，所以答案选 F observe。 这时候还会烧一个盖伊的人形。第8题，这人形由树枝、稻草等做成，空格怎么样子？盖伊·福克斯。主词呢是 this figure， 逗点之后过去分词构句，补充说明状况。那空格要放单数动词搭配 this figure。 很明显呢，他想表达这人形代表盖伊·福克斯，所以选项 J represents 代表象征。第8题答案选 J。 下一句 However 然而，这已是长久的习惯了，盖伊长得像不受欢迎的政治人物或空格9什么的运动选手。句型 It is 形容词 for somebody to be， It 是虚主词，代表后面的 to be 不定词。这句写成完成式 It has been， 表示一直以来是怎么样子。 Customary 习惯上的，它的名词是 custom， 当成风俗习惯，可以加上 s 表示复数。这题空格放形容词、分词或者名词来修饰 sports teams。 盖伊长得像 unpopular public figures， 或者是点点点，可以推知是敌对的运动选手，所以答案选 C rival。 下一句，除此之外，人们享受吃自制篝火的太妃糖等。Enjoy 后面的 snacking 当作动词是美式用法，表示吃点心。Snacking on toffee 表示吃太妃糖。接着 While 虽然篝火之夜不像万圣节那么受欢迎，这火仍然帮助这年度传统怎么样子400年。生字 annual 年度的 annual income 年度收入。这题要考 help 的用法，后面若跟着一个动词常省略 to， 直接写原形动词，帮助延续400年的传统。选项 E endure 持续，所以答案选 E。 以上是今天的讲解，谢谢收听。
That's it for today, everybody. If you got time, you could make it to the UK to celebrate Guy Fawkes Night, but I guess you probably will have to wait till next year. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.